The best of money matters. Under the radar.
You're listening to Money FM 89.3, and it's now time for a special on-the-go episode of Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian, where I bring you on-the-ground reports of key business events, launches, features, or developers' days. And I started my day pretty early today at Raffles City Convention Centre to speak with enterprise blockchain and cryptocurrency player Ripple, which is also behind the XRPL or XRP ledger. Now, that is because the firm's global leadership team flew in from the US for Apex 2025, or what is said to be the largest annual summit on the XRPL calendar, bringing together developers, businesses, fintechs, researchers, VCs, and even more. But first, here's some context on Ripple. So founded in 2012, Ripple uses blockchain technology to help global financial institutions, businesses, and developers move, manage, and tokenize value. So solutions can be split into three major verticals, namely payments, be it through stablecoins, cryptocurrencies, and local currencies. The second vertical being digital asset custody solutions, and the last being its Ripple USD stablecoin solution. Now, so far, Ripple said it is the only enterprise blockchain company whose products are deployed for commercial use, and its global payments network, meanwhile, consists of over 300 customers and over 40 countries across 6 continents. Now, right here in Singapore, the firm received in-principle approval by the Monetary Authority of Singapore in November last year to offer digital payment token products and services in the country. So back to the point about its leadership team flying down to Singapore, what should we know about the significance of Singapore as a market to Ripple, as well as the firm's plans for the region? That's one question. And in the meantime, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission had decided to settle a long-running legal battle against the firm. Now, the SEC had in December 2020 filed a lawsuit against Ripple for allegedly breaking securities laws by selling its digital token, or the XRP, without registering it as a security. While that lawsuit may be over, how far is Ripple's plans in APAC a response to regulatory challenges in the US, and how then is the firm navigating the regulatory landscape in Asia? Well, lots of questions, and I pose them to Monica Long, president of Ripple. All right, thanks so much for joining us, Monica. So we've briefly talked about how Ripple is this enterprise blockchain as well as cryptocurrency player known for the cryptocurrency called XRP. But let's hear from you. What services does Ripple provide exactly, be it payments, digital asset custody, or stablecoin solutions? Tell us more about your value proposition and business model.
That's right. Since the beginning, we've been around for more than 10 years. We are focused on providing primarily financial institutions digital asset infrastructure. And we do that in 2 primary ways. One is through a set of commercial products that make it easy for these institutions to get the benefits of blockchain very simply, securely, and with compliance built in. And that set of services includes payments, custody, and our stablecoin RLUSD. And the second primary way that we help financial institutions with digital asset infrastructure is we actively contribute to the open source public blockchain XRP ledger, which has a lot of functionality that's really good for financial use cases, and we continue to develop that.
I see. Well, Monica, why is the global leadership team of Ripple right here in Singapore right now? Because I understand the firm announced its strategic plans for APAC, including for markets such as South Korea, Japan, as well as in Singapore. Take us through the plans as well as the rationale behind them.
Asia Pacific has been an area of high growth in innovation in the digital asset space all along. We've hubbed our presence in Asia through Singapore for many years, and we continue to grow our footprint in Singapore and through Asia Pacific. This is because there's early adoption of these blockchain technologies for use cases like payments and digital asset custody. And I think that's because governments like the MAS here in Singapore early on created clear rules for how institutions can use this technology. So you saw large banks like DBS leaning in early, and I see a lot of developers. We're here with our developer conference because of all of the talent, the entrepreneurs who are in Singapore coming out of the universities. And so I think Singapore has a major first mover advantage.
I see. We'll talk more about regulations in just a bit, but if you were to look at APAC as a whole, right, which are the markets with the greatest potential of growth and why? And what are your key priorities for the region in terms of revenue generation, innovation, or collaboration?
I think through Asia, the area of the most innovation and growth has really come from Singapore. That's in our experience. In fact, for our payments business alone, about half of the business, the volume and the adoption has been through Singapore. Other markets in Asia, in the Asia Pacific region, where we've seen adoption and growth include Japan. The FSA there has also, taken more of a leadership position, providing clarity. South Korea is definitely up and coming. Hong Kong and Australia.
I see. Well, how far is Ripple's increased activity in Asia a response to regulatory challenges it faces in the U.S.? If I could bring up an example, the lawsuit filed by the U.S. SEC in December 2020, which alleged that the XRP was an unregistered security. We know that the SEC dropped the case in March this year, but what would you say to investors and customers who might be concerned that, hey, Ripple is perhaps shifting its operational focus to Asia to get around U.S. regulations?
That's not the case at all. From the beginning of the company, we have sought to collaborate with or to be transparent with regulators and rule makers around the world. It's very important to us that the way that we operate our business is always in compliance with local regulation. So, for example, here in Singapore, we're licensed with the digital payment token license through the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We hold more than 60 licenses around the world. So that's our approach.
I see. But in terms of regulatory framework, if I could stretch that question, don't mind me, how far is Asia more consistent in terms of regulations across administrations and governments versus perhaps in the US? And how far does this provide more certainty and stability for the firm in terms of operations?
It has definitely been more consistent here in Singapore. Really, since MAS created rules and regulations, those have been consistent, which makes it, predictable so that businesses can operate and grow here. We've seen, I think that you make a good point. Consistency from the regulators is important so that with administration changes, you don't, have to suddenly pivot or dramatically change how you operate your business.
But right to say that despite its intention to grow in Asia Pacific, Ripple is still fairly focused on its home market of the U.S.
Actually, most of our business is outside of the U.S. And, still, I mentioned earlier, about 40 to 50% of our payments business is, here in Asia. And in fact, our custody business, we are getting more adoption from banks. We work with DBS in Singapore, HSBC, Union Bank out of the Philippines. So we are definitely seeing growth in Asia. The U.S. market just opened up. Really, since the new administration took office, there's been more progress toward regulation. And so we see banks and other institutions more willing to be serious about adoption. But that's just starting. U.S. is still lagging.
I see. Now, if we look at Asia as a market, though, it appears to be a fragmented market on its own. You have multiple countries, different regulatory landscapes. How would you assess the regulatory landscapes in the various countries within APAC? And how are you working with regulators in the various markets to ensure smooth implementation of your strategic plans?
That part is so important. Blockchains are global by nature, and that's where you really see the benefits, is being able to use it as a new global rail for money movement. And so having consistency or at least harmony across different countries and jurisdictions is very important. And what we've observed is some nice collaboration between some of the central banks. So MAS alongside others like Bank of Japan, I believe. I think that's a very positive signal that those in the regulatory hot seat, they get it, that they do need to get this coordination piece right. And, I'm keen. I hear that there's, stablecoin legislation coming places like Korea, Hong Kong soon. So it seems like we're making steps forward.
If I can zoom in on Singapore, Monica, Ripple received this in principle approval, which you mentioned earlier, by the MAS in November 2024 to offer digital payment token products and services in the country. So, on top of what you mentioned earlier, what is truly the significance of Singapore as a market for the wider firm? How do you expect the role of Singapore as a market to evolve?
So we think that our payments business is it's robust here, but we think there's still a ton of opportunity. And this is because there's this broader global trend towards stablecoin-based payments. That has really picked up momentum in the past year. And there's all these acute needs for businesses throughout Asia. Where they have trouble with things like money movement after banking cutoff time, so 24/7, costs, so lowering their costs, and also the speed, so getting payments from here to there in not days but minutes or as fast as possible. So we see those needs here, and we think there's a lot of room for us to grow in payments. And then, with our bank business and digital asset custody, we're really proud to work with marquee banks like DBS, but we're going to continue to grow that as well.
I see. And speaking of growing in Singapore, in May 2025, Ripple launched the Singapore dollar-backed XSGD stablecoin on the XRP ledger in a partnership with StreetsX. Now, what does launching the stablecoin on the ledger mean for the man in the street as well as for the firm, and what's next in terms of partnerships?
Yes, we're very pleased and excited about the partnership with StreetsX, and we've seen other credible issuers around the world issuing fiat-backed stablecoins. So there's a partner in Europe who's now offering a euro stablecoin, a bank in Brazil actually, who launched a US dollar and a Brazilian real-backed stablecoin. And where we see this headed is the decentralized exchange within XRP Ledger recreating foreign exchange markets. And the reason that users could see major advancements and improvements on the XRP Ledger is speed. So settlements happen within seconds, as well as throughput and cost, where the embedded transaction fee is less than half a penny. So those are some major improvements. For the man on the street, we're here at Apex. There's all kinds of developers from the local market who are building applications that would make these benefits accessible to the man on the street.
Okay, and you mentioned Hong Kong in brief earlier as well. How would you evaluate the markets of Hong Kong versus Singapore as potential entry points or potential points of expansion for APEC, considering factors such as regulatory openness, the ongoing US-China trade tensions, as well as market size?
Singapore and Hong Kong are both very important markets in Asia, of course, both as global financial powers. And in Singapore, where we've hubbed our operations for years, that critical role of MAS coming out early with clear regulation, I think, played a really pivotal role in terms of the digital asset ecosystem blossoming here in Singapore. In Hong Kong, they're a major capital market space. They're also kind of on the, front door or doorstep into China. So they also play a strategic role, and we're engaged with both HKMA and MAS.
So they're equally important.
They're both important in different ways.
All right. And finally, before I let you go, a quick one here. Do you have a CAGR or a growth target for the firm in terms of your footprint, headcount, or sales or revenue target in Asia? And also, what's next for Ripple? A quick teaser for our audience as to what they can expect out of the firm.
Yes, for our Asia region, our aspiration and where we're pushing the business is growth globally. But because there's just so much opportunity here in Asia, we expect it to be a key area driving double-digit growth for our firm.
Any teaser for our audience, mostly B2B listeners, on what they can expect out of Ripple, maybe from now until the end of the year?
Thank you. Yes, so we'll expand our stablecoin payment offering. There we're focused on adding more and more markets, because that the power of the network is what makes an efficient payment solution really important to our customers. As well as expanding our digital asset custody offering. And there we are, partnering with banks, not just on custodying the digital assets, but also tokenization use cases. So, for example, DBS and HSBC have both been leaders in this realm, tokenizing things like bonds. We'll continue to expand distribution for the Ripple US dollar stablecoin through partnerships. And then just lastly, yes, we're excited to work with more innovative companies like StraitsX, who are bringing their projects to XRP Ledger.
All right. Thank you so much for the insights. That was Monica Long, president at Ripple. Thank you so much for joining us on Money FM 89.3.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And this is an on-the-go episode of Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian, signing off from Apex 2025 at Raffles City Convention Centre in Singapore.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.